Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn GCP with Mahesh. Today I want to share one of the toughest interview question, GCP interview question which I have ever got in my career. I thought of sharing you the question and also the possible answer which I had shared with the interviewer. And the whole intent of sharing this video is not to leak the question and the answer, but the way, the approach which I took. So that is the main thing which I wanted to share in this video. The reason is I have seen there are very there are many interviewers who like to see the approach the candidate takes when a question is given to him or her. So that is what they really like, and if the approach is good, even though the final result is not achieved, you will definitely get a job. So that is what I have seen in my career, and hence I thought of sharing that approach which I took in this interview. And this interview was a slightly a special interview for me. The reason is in my entire career I got only in this interview I got only one question, one technical question, and the interviewer told there's only one question which I'm going to give you. If you are done with it, you will definitely get an offer, is what he mentioned. That was really interesting, and that gave me something like, okay, how tough it's going to be is what I was thinking. And the reason why the interview gave me only one question was there was a time conflict which he was having. So he had scheduled the interview, and at the same time there was a customer call, so he had to manage both the things. So what he gave is he just gave his laptop. So he gave his laptop and he told you can use the entire internet, whatever the source you want to use it, but give me the answer for this or the approach for this, is what he mentioned. And he told after 30 minutes I'll come back. So he left me in the room, so I was alone. I thought of thinking, okay, let me start looking into it. By the way, I did not share you the question, right? So the question was very simple, but the concept or the way you have to think was slightly different. The question was, what is the cost of cloud shell? So I could have given him immediately the answer saying that cloud shell, what is a machine type, um, what is the storage it uses. I could have gone to my cloud calculator, pricing calculator. I could have given him the right answer right away. And since he told please don't be in a hurry, take your 30 minutes, I'll come back. And because even if I was ready to say, he was not in a position to listen to my answer, so he told take your time, 30 minutes, I'll come back. So I thought first I'll have this approach. First let me have a plan B. So in 30 minutes, if I'm not able to get it, at least I can use this plan B answer, and let me work on something better. So the plan B was, as I mentioned, machine type. Just log into Cloud Shell, launch the Cloud Shell, get the machine type of it, the storage. Just go and put it in the pricing calculator. I'll get a option there. So this was something which was as my plan B. So I kept that ready. I thought let me give something better. And since he had told that it's going to be only one question, I thought let me try to impress him. So then I thought of what could be the approach which I can take. So usually when it comes to a virtual machine, the price of a virtual machine depends on what and all, the place or the region in which you're trying to provision. So basically you provision a virtual machine in a zone, and the zone would be part of a region. And most of us know the price of a virtual machine varies from uh, region to region. The reason is the logistics. For example, the employee, the real estate cost, the electricity cost, the taxation in those countries. Based on that, the virtual machine cost will vary from region to region. So that was a point which I wanted to mention very clearly. So I need to find out where, in which region, or specifically in which zone this cloud shell gets provisioned. So for this one, right, the handy option which came to me was my own video which I did in my YouTube channel a year back. So I went to my YouTube channel, searched for zone cloud shell. So which, because I remember this video which was one of my best video which I felt. So it was only around 1 minute 34 seconds. So I went through this as a recap just to understand the syntax and the command which I used during that demo. And I understood that it was basically using something called as metadata server, using which you can query and get the zone details. Now I can definitely get the zone in which the virtual machine, the cloud shell is provisioned. And as I was very sure based on this video, usually people who are in Asia continent, it could be either in Singapore or in Taiwan. So that was very, very clear for me. So the zone was there, the machine type was there, storage was there, then what else was there? So I remember somewhere some IP address is going to come into picture. So I thought, okay, I'll write a small script so that I can get all these details and have something very much close price, which I can use and show the interviewer and impress him. So the reason I wanted the IP address also is in the pricing calculator. I just went into the pricing calculator and saw what is the options which is there. So the number of instance is going to be one. Uh, and everybody knows Cloud Shell uses Debian, which is a free or open source operating system. And the machine type, I have to get it. Then the region is an important one. Um, and he also told assume the Cloud Shell. He was a very senior person. He told it's ephemeral, it's going to time out, but assume it is going to run for 24 hours, 24 hours a day and 30 days. That's what he mentioned. So I thought, okay, let me assume this part. And there should be some storage component also, right? And you also see there's an ephemeral IP. So I wanted to give a very concrete answer for this. So looking into the this thing, the metadata server, I went into the details of this metadata server, and specifically the one which was important for me was under the instance, uh, the disks was very important to get the details of that disk, what type of disk. The machine type was very important, machine type over disk over, then the network interface, whether it's going to have an ephemeral IP address or a static IP address, all those details. I was very sure it is going to be ephemeral, but just wanted to be very sure with that part. So I came up with those things. So quickly what I did is I went into I just launched his Cloud Shell. So let me just connect to the Cloud Shell. And I started putting the script, and the script which I saw in my video itself, I just copied it. And what I did is I started writing a small script which captures the the zone. So let me just get that, the zone, the machine type, the storage, and the networking details. And I came up with a script something like this. So using all the metadata server, so get the zone, find the machine type, then the disk recursively, and the metadata in network details recursively. So this was the stuff, and I thought of getting all those details so that I can use this in my pricing calculator. So let me just run this and see what is the output which we get. And the output which I get is very clear, which is in sync with the video which I did a year back. It very clearly shows the virtual machine is provisioned in Singapore A zone. So the region is very clear, it is Singapore. The machine type, it shows it is E2 small machine type. So E2 series is recently launched. So it shows it is E2. And the device, there are two devices or two disks to be very devices. I guess it's not two disks, two devices. One is the boot, the other one is the home, the 5 GB of persistent disk. And one important thing which looked very interesting at that time was the boot disk is a persistent SSD disk, and uh, the home disk, the slash home which we get, it's a normal HDD disk. So this was something a eye opener at that time for me, and I realized there's a ephemeral IP address also. So I got the complete details. So now as much as improvement I wanted to do, I tried to do it, did that in that interview. So what I did is I took both the approach. So I just minimized it, went to my virtual machine screen, and started filling in the details to get what could be the price, so that I can give him very precise information when he comes back from that customer call. So let's wait for the screen to come up. Once it comes up, we'll key in the details of what we have got so that we can get an information. Instance Cloud Shell cost. So the region is Singapore. That's good. Now the series is E2, and if you look into the details, of the machine type, it is E2 small. So E2 small, let me just choose that. Done. Then the boot disk itself, and we know it is Debian operating system. So people who don't know that, simply just type cat slash etc os version or OS release, sorry. You should get it is Debian 10. So we are very clear with that. So Debian, but most important thing that the boot disk is SSD disk, persistent SSD disk, and what is the size was something which I needed to get that. So what I did was launched my Cloud Shell back. So another command which came very handy was ls block. So there are two devices or disks which you wanted to call. One is this boot disk, 60 GB of disk, and the other one is your slash home, where this is your SDB, the second disk, which is of 5 GB, which is where our data gets persisted. So that information I got. So what I did is I went in, changed this 10 to 60, added, good, and went to the disks and tried to add that 5 GB, and I was very sure I cannot add 5 GB of storage. The reason is minimum in the this thing you can add is 10 GB of storage. So but just wanted to still give a try there, so went and added a disk there. So added a disk, call this as home. So that's where our home partition comes into picture. Then made this as 5 and it throwed me an error. It can't be a 5, so it has to be minimum 10. So I thought, okay, I'll make some small calculation and show the difference of that. So that's it. I was almost getting the exact configuration of the Cloud Shell. The only thing is that instead of 10 GB, it has to be 5 GB. So the cost would be $0.22. So almost like $18, close to $18 is the cost which I was able to get it. But I was not still satisfied. I thought, let me try to impress him as much as possible. So I had another option which I did. The one which I did was I went into my pricing calculator, wanted to see double check whether the price matches what I have arrived at. One instance, this is for Cloud Shell. This is for Cloud Shell, and it's a regular virtual machine, E2 series, and it is E2 small. That is what the script was able to get it, and it is in Singapore. So if I look for Singapore, yes, and it is going to have one ephemeral IP address, no static IP address. And the interviewer told, assume it is going to run for 24/7, but in reality it's not going to run. But if you know how much it's going to take for the entire month, just divide it by that, and you can get by per hour what could be the price of it. So that's it. Add to estimate. So it was almost close there. So but the ephemeral IP address was roughly around $3. So this was something missing in the compute engine pricing calculator. So then I went into the storage part. So change the persistent disk to Singapore. So 60 GB of persistent disk, that is for the boot disk, and one was the slash home. So it is it was a it was a persistent disk. So I have to key in. So what was the option here? Yeah, it is SSD provisioned space. Okay. Then regional provision space standard provision. So here 5 GB. So 60 GB for SSD persistent provision space and 5 for your persistent standard persistent disk. So add this to estimate. Now I came up with this price. So now if I just compare the price with here, the only difference which I see was this one is good, this one is good. So what was the difference which I had made? It is 18. The disk is there. Okay, I guess something wrong here. persistent disk. Everything is there. What is the one which is missing? Storage 60 GB. It is 60 standard okay, this was not persistence, my bad. Let me just edit it back. It has to be SSD. So that huge difference makes. Now I was able to get $26.75. Now if I go to my pricing calculator, so here the actual thing is it has to be so if I just open up my calculator, so it is, I have to make this accurate thing 7 to this thing minus 0.22, because it's going to be only 5 GB, not 10 GB. So the actual price of this one is this one, the actual price of the Cloud Shell with the ephemeral IP address, which comes to plus 2.92, which comes to the price which is mentioned in the pricing calculator. So I took roughly around 23 minutes. I was putting a timer in my this thing. So in 23 minutes, I was able to get the calculation, and uh, as committed, the interview came in, and I told the approach which I took. So the easy approach, I asked him whether you want a ballpark number or you want something very close. He told, give me something very close. So I told, so it can go up to 29.440 or 29.45 US dollars per month. So, and he asked me the approach. I explained him this is how I did it, and here he liked it. And he had a follow-up question. The follow-up question which he asked was, what if the virtual machine, this FM Cloud Shell is boosted? So we know you can have this boosted mode in for valid for 24 hours. So when you boost it, instead of being a, so instead of being E2 small, it becomes E2 medium. So that's what I had seen, and you can give a try yourself. You should be able to get it. So I just made it as E2 medium, and I told him it's going to be roughly around, if I just go edit it, so E2 medium, and this is the cost. So it comes to $44. So what was the cost here? Yeah, $44 55 cents. So he was really impressed with the approach which I took, uh, and the thought process, and the whole thing which he really appreciated was it was more of a reverse engineering kind of a stuff, and how each and every component was taken into consideration for pricing. So because compute engine becomes the base for most of the stuffs, it could be Kubernetes engine. He really liked this approach, and he told really a good job done. And that part of the interview was very clear, and I cleared that interview. So that was the one of the toughest question which I faced in my career, hence thought of sharing it with you. The whole reason, as I mentioned, it is the approach which you should take, not the answer. So if you definitely get the answer, good, but at least think loud and show that if for me the interview was not there, so I just started slowly thinking, so in my mind I started getting it. But if the interviewer is in front of you, try thinking loud is what I would say, because sometimes there are interviewers will help you out saying that no, you're not taking the right approach, why don't you do this way. So that kind of stuff you can get it. So that was a whole reason of showing this video, and this was almost like I would say close to 20 minutes video. So but I wanted to share the complete approach here. So think in this approach, definitely you should succeed and have a very successful GCP career. So that's the video which I wanted to share today. Thank you for watching.